Welcome to the Wooper Club League Season 15 Week 1 Power Rankings and Recap. If you watched the draft video, you know that Week 1 had some killer matchups. Let's see how many upsets we had involved in here. My name is IllLogic. I'm the coach of the Buffalo Bouffalant, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, SteveChuck, coach of the Waterdeep Wobbuffets.
Hey, everybody.
Well, we don't really have any trades or transactions to go over here to start off with because most of those were taken care of post-draft available for this week. So we're just going to get right on into what happened in this week. So here we go. First match of the season. Two teams that excelled in the regular season last go-round with tough first-round exits. It's Greg's Calgary Corviknight facing off against the Terrifier Heatwave. And it is the Heatwave with the convincing upset W 4-0. Turn 1 Terra Psychic Glamora on a mission to set up hazards on laners before getting up some rocks, spikes, and 2 layers of T-spikes while Mortal spinning away rocks 2 before going down. Orthworm is a great check, getting up an Iron Defense in the last 2 layers of spikes as Lando gets rocks back up and U-turns into Durgalge to absorb T-spikes. Durgalge Haze forces out Orthworm and Florges is in, eats a Sludge Wave, gets up a light screen as Hariyama comes in, Baton Pass into Orthworm who can't quite KO with Body Press, Drain Punch claims that KO. Bullet Punch chip Florges before Hariyama comes in, it's Boots Basket Legion getting off big damage, then Florges goes down to the double flip turn, Clefable in to eat the Blood Moon, Baton Pass into Basket Legion to KO with Wave Crash, but Dragapult can revenge KO, but it appears to be locked into Dragon Darts. Clefable heals up and Moonblasts it down, and Iron Jugulas cannot break through the pink blob and goes down too. Those hazards did not do much for Greg, who could not break through Boots and Clefable. Crazy. Next match, how about a pair of first-timers in the league? It's Anivia, coach of the Chi-Yus, versus AJ, coach of the Chicago Clods. And unfortunately, AJ falls victim to a classic blunder as the Chi-Yus gets the sweep. Goldingo's balloon popped by U-turn, but that nasty plot into Shadow Ball crit brings Claude low into Chi-Yu against the Chi-Yus, but Hammerot tanks flip turn out of a Spother into Dragonite. Here we go. D-Dance up on Screamtail, E-Speed, and Life Orb Dazzling Gleam does not do nearly enough. That is not good. That goes down. Low kick the Regice, that's down. EQ the Claude, that's down. The chip from flip turn means a Spother's in range, that's down. Ogre Pond lives. Ivy Cudgel, not enough, and Chi-Yu also chipped and not able to survive a hit as D-Knight gets the 6-0 sweep. A passage of rights for most Pokemon players in draft to go down to that, as we all see why I keep advocating for D-Knight to keep moving up our tier lists. Next match, I know that you see that 112 turn number and are scared but worry not. We'll summarize a bit what happened as the Cincinnati Incineroar took down the Akron Agrons in a classic, intense, close 1-0 win that could have been match of the week had Michael had the patience to sit through Cryogonal versus Deoxys. Started off fast. Turn 2, Archaludon is in on Tentacruel with the rain up, but the body press on Excadrill switch in Okos. And if you thought that was crazy, how about the level 1 Pseudo Wudo who tanks a hit with Sturdy, brings Archaludon to 1 HP with Endeavor and heals up with Shell Bell. Yeah, that's crazy. A bit dependent on Joey not seeing the level 1, but it works well. Cacturn in on the Sucker Punch. Knockoff removes the Shell Bell but goes to 1 HP, and then Cacturn Sucker Punch is faster too, going down to Life Orb Recoil though as well. Iron Bundle in, Freeze Dry immediately freezes Tentacruel, who immediately thaws into Flip Turn into Deoxys Defense, into Doxbun as Deoxys Cosmic Powers. Yawn off the Bread Dog, plus Stealth Rock, meaning in comes Cryo to rapid spin them away and to haze away the defense boost. Pelipper tries to break through. Here's Cryo again, hazing away boosts as Stored Power comes out. Yeah, this could be a while as Cryo tries to freeze and melt away boosts and rapid spin away rocks. Seeing himself losing the pressure war, Joey mixes in Doxbun back into Cryogonal on Tropius, who Terra's Steel and Leech Seed. It's one of those sets. Yeah, Air Slash does some damage to Doxbun, but Body Press does over half because of the Terra Steel, and then Citrus Berry heals it up. Protect when in range, Substitute. Yeah, Joey has to make his way through these monsters while trying to wish up the Archaludon a bit too. Lot of switching. We get Pelipper against Tentacruel's Toxic comes out to put the bird on a timer, but into Iron Bundle. In the rain, Hydro Pump does 75% to Deoxys, so another one which hits finally brings down one of the defensive threats. Tentacruel back in. Tentacruel healing up, but Flip turns out into Tropius. Electro Shot on the last turn of rain, not enough. Tropius healing a bit. Tentacruel back in on Body Press, survives a +2 Body Press and knockoff, but goes down 5-2 Agrons, but Darkrai into Revenge Archaludon. Tropius on the Revenge opportunity as Joey goes back into Doxbun. Tropius keeps finding that Citrus. Air Slash on a bundle switch does a third. That's not bad. Hydro Miss as Leech Seed goes off. That is huge. More switching around. Cryogonal rapid spinning Leech Seed recovering up. That brings Leech Seed's down to 4 power points left. Darkrai comes in on a recover. Nasty plot up. Hypnosis hits Cryogonal. That could be big. Dark Pulse does over half. Cryo wakes up and hazes, but Darkrai does bring it down. Back into Tropius. Doxbun Body Press doing so much, down to 5%. And there's the Harvest, and another one the next turn, and another the next turn, and another the next, as Pelipper is brought low. Doxbun in on the second to last Leech Seed, wishing itself up and going out to Pelipper. Pelipper is toxic, so no Leech Seed is used here. Surf keeps it low enough that we finally get Doxbun in on an Air Slash Body Press. gets the high roll, 57% damage, and Tropius goes down. Finally, can Darkrai clutch it? Hypnosis misses, all according to plan. Blunder Policy activates as it tanks a Body Press from Darkspawn. Then the second one hits, meaning it can nasty plot up. That means +2 Psychic KOs Darkspawn. Pelipper, of course, goes down. Iron Bundle is now outsped, so that goes down to Dark Pulse 2. A dramatic comeback in a crazy game, resulting in a Week 1 win for the Incineroar. Okay, how about maybe the most hype matchup we had coming in? A Season 13 and 14 semifinals rematch between the Newport Noctowls and the Waterdeep Wobbuffets. Only this time, the Noctowls came out on top. And if you want some more in-depth chat about it, you can go listen to Michael of the Route 1 Burbs chat about it in the Match of the Week on this channel. Or you can check out Jimmy's analysis from his side on his channel, where he talks about the exploits of his Newport Noctowls. The link to his channel will also be in the description below. This match was another classic, a crazy Necrozma set, a key crit, and an insane endgame revolving around Chien-Pao highlight. This 2-0 win for the Noctowls. Check it out. Okay, I've been putting it off long enough. The Bouffalant have to face the Burbs, who have suddenly had more success against my squad after a few losses to me, bouncing me in Seasons 11 and 12, and now is utilizing more of my weaknesses in a 2-0 upset win over my defending champion Bouffalant. Turn 1 goes as poorly as I could have imagined. Lycanroc SD's up on a Strange Steam miss, 95%. Yeah, okay. Out into Gligar on another SD, then Player Off gets the attack drop, so EQ only does 56. Yeah, that goes down. Yeah, Mega Terra's ground to avoid too much from Accelerock and Revenges. Moltres is the answer, with Weezing coming back out to toxic it, at least, brought low by that Poison. Hurricane connects, not quite KOing at +2/+2 as Strange Steam does KO back, but there's Terra, Fairy, Iron Valiant, Cinderace to revenge as Crocalor comes in. Another Pyro Ball for some chip, misses, of course, yes, as Yawn comes off. Out into Yanmega to bring Crocalor low before going down. The Latios can revenge. Specs means Valiant does KO with Specs Moonblast, Raging Bolt in on the Cinder. Scarf means Draco is a KO in the last-ditch effort. Sub SD Iron Hands is thwarted by EQ on Fortress, which does crit for good measure there, as it also avoids the 2 KO, of course, to get a little probably unnecessary chip as Valiant can grab the last KO again. A match that spiraled out of control, in addition to great play from the Burbs, gives them a clutch W in their hopeful comeback season. Next match, another couple of hopefuls with great teams on paper. It's the Close Combat Club and the Wooper Booper squared off in another great match, this one resulting in a Boopers 1-0 win. Colossal gets up rocks, but backs in on a double switch with Boots, gets up a D-Dance on Annihilate and gets the 2-hit KO. Booster Iron Treads is in, though, to at least force it out. Enamor's in on Sableye and KOs easily, but gets prepared for its trouble. Cole in on Jirachi, who wishes into Sneasler on a Meteor Beam, meaning it'll heal up, but Cole survives the Close Combat back, and Fire Blast at +1 crits and gets the KO. But Baxcalibur can at least revenge that. That means Iron Treads is in, but Serena is in, is bulky enough to shrug it off while spinning away the rocks too. Jirachi in on Tornadus knockoff, doing damage, bringing Jirachi down to 53%. Heat Wave misses. That means U-turn goes off and Wish heals up Excalibur. Bleakwind brings it back below half, but that's a D-Dance up, and Icicle Crash KOs. Is it over already? Brute Bonnet is in next. It lives. Icicle Crash on 3, and Close Combat KOs. Enamorous does revenge, then Serena back in on Iron Treads, and it lives a pair of Iron Heads, and Power Whip does half before going down. Moonblast KOs, and it's Enam on Enam action. Therian barely tanks Moonblast and KOs back, but that Jirachi is still alive, and KOs with Iron Head. Great match with that key miss helping a little bit potentially for the Boopers. Very key Week 1 win. Next match, two teams that desperately need to get off to a good start after down seasons. It's another 1-0 game as the Corviknight Clobberers squeak out a win over the Seattle Steamrollers. Kyurem needs to Terra Ghost turn 1 for Freeze Dry to barely miss the 2-hit KO on Prim, as Prim also barely misses the 2-hit KO in kind. Then Resto Chesto for Kyurem to get a little healthier as it takes the KO. Skarmory in on Ogerpon Wellspring, which tears up and SD's up, and the Ivy Cudgel's high crit rate breaks through Skarm to KO even after an Iron Defense. Cinccino the revenge option, but Overqwil with Intimidate takes only a third. Kyurem in on Spikes, and Blizzard claims the KO, but Wellspring is back in to revenge the Kyurem, meaning there's Cinccino again. This time the answer is Static Zapdos, who does get an immediate paralysis followed by a Tail Slap miss, roosts up and KOs Cinccino, which does at least tidy up first. Weavile in, Triple Axle brings Ogerpon low, another one, barely gets the KO too. Great Tusk in, Axel only hits once, Rapid Spin up, Headlong Rush and Knockoff, then KO the Slow King trying to switch in, but the Scarf Inteleon Scald KOs Tusk. T-Wave Illumise misses, Meat Wish up as Scald burns, and out into Zapdos. Triple Axle hits only once again, then Discharge gets the para, and Zapdos takes it down with U-turn. It's all up to Inteleon now. T-Wave connects this time, meaning Discharge one more time for the final KO. Yet another great match, resulting in a 1-0 start for the Clobberers. Next match, it's the Summit County Psyducks looking to improve on a top 4 finish last season, starting off with a 2-0 win over the Kanto Kinglers. Turn 1, Leaf Blade from Decidueye does less than half to Ursaluna as Gunk Shot crits to do over half into Corviknight on the next Leaf Blade, then a great U-turn out on Magneton into Iron Boulder, who can claim a KO there with EQ. Torkoal for the Sun, then back out into Decidueye on a Sword Stance. Shadow Sneak at least does some damage before it goes down too, but now Roaring Moon has the speed boost and does KO. D-Dance with Terra Electric on the Corviknight Iron Defense, trading damage with Body Press doing half, but Moon does get the KO with a third left. Rillaboom in, and Scovillain tanks a hit, then Fire Blast crits for the KO. Back into Torkoal, who feints to a Hydro Pump Volt Switch combo from Rotom, but Roaring Moon is in. Hoopa survives Jawlock though and KOs back. The Kingler's in the driver's seat potentially, but with more turns of Sun, Energy Ball while KOs Hoopa. Rotom survives an Energy Ball on one and gets the T-Wave off. A turn of Paralysis means Hydro does half, but Chlorophyll means Scovillain still outspeeds and KOs the next turn, then breaks through Paralysis one more time to KO Ursaluna too. That's game for the Psyducks. And finally, unfortunately, the Mighty Miltanks could not make it to their matchup against the Boulder Boulders, resulting in a forfeit 3-0 win for the Boulders. And that's what happened in Week 1. Steve, that was, I'm counting 5 upsets in Week 1 alone, resulting in maybe a different looking power rankings than we've usually seen, but some familiar faces up at the top. At the very least, the Newport Noctiles, you can count on them being around there. Following that up with the Terrifier, Heatwave, Routland, Burbs, Cincinnati Incineroar, Wooper Boopers, Corviknight Clobbers, Chillin' Chi-Yus, and Summit County Psyducks, all winners in Week 1, and good enough we decided to make the list. Steve, the match of the week was the Noctiles and Wobbuffets, and I know Wobbuffets may have even had a case to get on the list because there were some questionable things that happened in that match, but hey, can't knock the Noctiles. They will always be around and always be a pain to fight, right?
Yeah, certainly are a fantastic team, doing well. Took their safest approach in the end game, while I took mine, and that resulted in their win. But end result was they won a very close game against one of the other top teams and myself. We felt it was a good enough win to put them up here at the top. Although, as always, after week 1, most of these teams are quite close to each other. It's really hard to tell. We'll really need to wait till week 2 or 3 before we can get a good idea of who's actually sitting where.
Absolutely true, but you have to admit it's pretty impressive the Heatwave can get off to another great start here against the Calgary Corviknight, who've been regular season back-to-back champs here, and the Heatwave took it to them in the very first week with some pretty nice play. How many boots were there? I'm pretty sure we counted the one pair of Stealth Rocks set up by the Landers did more damage than all those hazards combined from the Calgary Corviknight. So good job to the Heatwave there too.
Yeah, Heatwave coming out very strong here. Calgary has been a regular season champ for the past couple seasons. Heatwave coming in here, taking a big win against them, and definitely setting tempo for the rest of the season. Hoping to see the Heatwave keep it up.
Maybe not hoping for the Burbs. We love Michael here on the channel, of course, and no matter what kind of hacks there may have been in the matchup, it's still very impressive when anytime you get to beat the Bouffalant. And the Burbs, yes, they did not do particularly well last season, but hey, just a couple seasons removed from very heavy playoff success. Important for them to get off to a hot start too.
Yep, as always, and up here in the top again because of big wins over other good coaches. That's really the thing with these top 4 coaches. The matchups are all meant to be close matchups between near seeds in the top and bottom halves, and these top 4 coaches are the 4 coaches that won those matchups. So well deserved and up here for now at the very least.
Absolutely, and I mean the Incineroar Agrons matchup. There have been few matches that have been as crazy as that one. As you said, a well-deserved top placement for the Incineroar for beating a very good Agrons team. But boy, there was a whole lot that had to go right there. I'm pretty sure he needed the 40% miss into the 60% hit. So tough to put them too high. But hey, a win over the Agrons is still pretty nice in the regular season, especially where the Agrons are pretty consistently excellent.
That's true, and I mean, putting a blunder policy on a Pokemon is a guaranteed way to make your moves hit, except when maybe you need to activate. So, they saw through the RNG there, got it out. A little bit of a questionable decision bringing the random battle Tropia set against Joey, who just plays a lot of random battles. But it ended up working at least decently well and able to pull it through, especially with the Darkrai at the end to clean that one up.
5 and 6, Boopers and Clobbers. Boopers making the playoffs last season. Clobbers, the other team here that got a 1-0, very narrow victory here. I don't think there was all that much luck involved with those either. Quality of opponents not as high as the other teams. Again, it's week 1. We don't have that much to work with, but shout outs to the Boopers and Clobbers for looking pretty darn good, at least in their 1-0 wins.
Yep, both of them middle of the pack teams who took 1-0 wins over other middle of the pack teams. So, great great start to their season. Hopefully they can keep it up. Well, maybe not for one of them. Dude, we'll see when we get to the schedule. But anyways, yeah, good work so far.
And speaking of, how about Chi-Yus in their debut in the Wooper Club League? The 6-0 with Dragonite, not that difficult to do, I think. Dragonite does set itself up pretty well. Maybe a couple missed opportunities by the opponent. Not sure why you didn't get to see something like a T-Wave out from the Scream Tail. That would have helped so much. But hey, D-Knight sweeps. That's what happens. Welcome to the league.
Yep, that's certainly it. I know the Chill and Chi-Yus do have a little more experience in the Chicago Clods, and it very well may have shown here. But I'm excited to see what both these teams do against other more seasoned teams from the league, and see how those matches end up going.
Speaking of, down in 8, we had a matchup of a couple of OGs there. The Psyducks and the Kinglers down there played against each other. Psyducks did come away with a 2-0 win, but maybe not as impressive as we would have liked to see. And actually, Steve, we did have a little bit of discussion of some other teams that maybe could have made the list, but hey, Psyducks will reward you for the 2-0. Still had Amon in the back we didn't even get to see. Probably good enough to be on the list here for week 1, but we've got our eye on you.
Yeah, they had a win. Definitely seemed to go work and earn it. There was some questionable play throughout, we felt at times, but the end result was the win. Of course, Volcarona sitting at the back. Nice new technique. We're used to Volcarona getting sacked rather than sacking it in the battle, keeping it in the back and never using it is an effective approach, because if you're doing that, that means you win every week. So I like that a lot more than sacking it. So we'll see if it keeps working for them.
Chad and Michael take notes on how to use Volcarona. Okay, that is the week 1 power rankings. We've got a few other things we actually would like to go through first here. Not exactly the most relevant yet, but we do have some standings for you. It's of course, the 8 teams that are up top, plus any team with an even record to the 8th team. Are all in the playoffs. So 1 weekend out of 8, not too much to take away from. I had 9 matches, so of course 9 teams are 1-0 and all tied there. Basically, we see the 6-0 win for the Chi-Yus, but a lot of close matches. Really is the takeaway that I'm getting from looking at this. Look at all this +2s and 1s, and the +3 from a forfeit. So of the 8 matches, 6 of them were 2-0 or closer. That's a pretty nice week 1. Who made this schedule?
Yeah, who did that? Shout out to me for a fantastic week 1. Of course, I do tend to stack some weeks with what are supposed to be closer matchups. So week 1 will of course be one. If you're keeping your eyes peeled, stay tuned for weeks 3, 6, and 8, where the other more close matchups are. But again, that's based on preseason expected seedings, and things change. So there definitely can be some close games in future weeks, and hopefully we'll see some of them in all the weeks.
Things can change absolutely rapidly, especially for some teams that maybe are newer and we don't know how they're going to do or haven't had enough time to establish a track record. That's how things, I think, can get out of whack pretty easily. Another interesting item we'd like to bring into the fold here is the MVP race. Talk about the Mons with the most KOs and differential and such. Through 1 week, it's going to be pretty easy and pretty straightforward, especially when you have a Dragonite that's 6-0 sweeps. Shout out to Mons like Darkrai and Scovillain, though, for rounding out the top 3. Pretty cool there. Interested to see what kinds of Mons are going to be here. Usually it's a Bouffalant Mon that's near the top, but nothing here yet.
Yeah, are you on this list at all? I don't think I see your name anywhere. That's crazy to see. Well, in the future we'll try and limit this to the top 10, but right now the top 10, when you include ties, is actually a top 17. So lots of guys on here. It'll certainly narrow down as the weeks progress. But we'll keep our eyes on this.
Should not be a problem there. Um, we have another couple of items to get to, but I suppose really we should get to the week 2 schedule here. Obviously, it's not going to be as loaded and jam-packed as week 1 was. Maybe a little bit of an off week, but Steve, I think there are still some very interesting matchups that we would like to see the results of for our power rankings and such. What are you looking at?
Yeah, there are 2 matches that stand out to me, looking at teams that won in week 1 and are playing each other, notably the Burbs and Psyducks. We mentioned, the Psyducks, we felt a little questionable about their victory, and, you've mentioned how the Burbs got a little bit of RNG going their way in their matchup against you. So excited to see these 2 teams pair off and see who comes out on top there. And a similar story, the Incineroar coming off a close 1-0 win over the Agrons, dragging it out over 100 turns against the Chi-Yus, who took a quick Dragonite sweep for 6-0. 2 winners. It'll be great to get another benchmark on the Chi-Yus to see how serious they really are and get a better idea how to position them in the power rankings moving forward. These 2 matches will be great for that.
And I'm looking at a couple of teams that didn't necessarily have the same result, but took very close win and a very close loss. I'm very much looking at the Wobbuffets and Clobberers for one of those matches. Yes, the Wobbuffets lost with a 2-0, but man, one prediction one way or another would be a 1-0 pretty easily there for the Wobbuffets. Clobberers just a 1-0. And I wonder if they can sustain that success. They were pretty great a couple seasons ago. Last season, not so great. Let's see if maybe they can turn it around. And then I guess they're at the bottom, the Steamrollers and Boopers. There, Steamrollers with the 0-1, Boopers with the 1-0. Can the Boopers continue to sustain any kind of success? Can the Steamrollers finally break through? It's been a couple of off seasons for them now. Let's see if maybe they can find that opportunity against what is becoming a pretty solid and maybe even consistently playoff team in the Boopers. That's what they have to prove over this season if they can get things done. That would wrap it up for us normally, but we do have one more fun little surprise for you. We do have our top 8 in the power rankings, and as such, I don't think it would be very good content if we just kept them the same every single week. So what can we possibly do to shake things up? I'm talking about a curse wheel. Maybe we can put all these 8 teams on here, spin the curse wheel, and decide which of these teams we will be cursing here on the channel to try and get them to be pushed out of the power rankings a little bit. Maybe get some other teams in there, get a little bit of excitement. I'm so ready for this. I'm going to click to spin, and we're going to find out what happens here. Give it a couple of clicks. Luckily, that's pretty much why Steve and I lost, is so that we couldn't be cursed. And we're looking at the number 3 team. Steve, who do we have at number 3?
The number 3 team is the Route 1 Burbs.
Ooh.
So hard. Sorry to hear that, Michael. I did say the Burbs and Psyducks was a game I was looking forward to, but apparently not anymore. Easy Psyducks victory coming out.
Easy. We'll find out if this thing works or not at the end of the week here, and we will check back in on it in week number 2. But that's going to do it from us. I'm glad to introduce a couple of new ideas we have in here. Let us know some feedback for what you're looking for from the Power Rankings and Recaps of the show here. This is coming out a little bit late this week. We'll have it back on a regular schedule in the upcoming weeks. That's my apologies for that. But maybe that's just because I lost and we're trying to get back into the W column. Steve and I both are trying to get back into the W column so we can provide you with the back-to-back-to-back finals appearances. Thank you to Steve for joining me. We'll see you both in the match of the week and the next week Power Rankings. See you there.